archetypes, and many of you probably already work with personas. So this webinar is not to teach you how to fill out a template like the one that you see here in the background. I assume that you all know how to do this, and if you would like to know more about this process, feel free to reach out to us after the webinar. However, I'll just touch on a few things in regards to what are the identifications or the identifiers that consist of working with personas. On the right-hand side here, you have the more demographical and geographical attributes of a persona work. In this case, we saw some of the attributes for Johanna. Maybe some of you can identify to some of these also. This is also what we refer to as CRM data. This typically lives in your CRM system, but this is something that we need to have available to be able to identify this archetype group. On the left-hand side is the more soft attributes, or the more psychological attributes, you can say. So this is just an example. It's not very extent. It's not very through, but it's about identifying the different pain points, the drivers, the motivators, the channels, the validators for this persona type in regards to this persona's typical buyer's journey. When we have that in place, we can actually identify the buyer's journey or the customer journey for this persona. In our case, we have just for the sake of the for this presentation, we have identified 5 phases. It can be 3 phases, it can be 10 phases, doesn't really matter. In our case, interest, learn, evaluate, justify, purchase. You could have retain, you could have loyalty phases, and so on. But let's not complicate it more than this. So now what? This is how far most of you actually have gotten. But first of all, we need to have our personas in some kind of an environment that we can work with. This basically means that we need to take our persona from this type of a presentation or Word document and put it into a tool that can keep us, that can help us keep track of the universe that we want to really build around our persona. We are working with the Oracle Marketing Cloud as a tool, and therefore I will actually be showing you how can this be done in a tool like Oracle Content Cloud. So let me just shift to my browser, because this is actually not only a PowerPoint presentation. Can you see my browser now?
Yes, we see your browser. It's fantastic.
Great. So I'm not going to talk about the functionality of this platform. This is not trying to sell the Oracle Content Cloud, but just to touch upon a few functionalities that are in this type of platforms. It's not a CMS system, important to say. It's a tool where you plan and manage your content from. You can build your persona types. This is what we will be looking a bit into. You can publish your content to your different channels like your website, your marketing automation tools, your social media, and it's a really powerful tool to do reporting on your content. So in addition to this, you can monitor your content contributors. This means that if you have a lot of different copywriters that you work with, you probably have a lot of different agencies that you can allow to create content for you directly in the platform. You can see the conversion of the different types of content they are actually creating for you. But anyways, I would like to focus on the persona type of the platform, or persona functionality of the platform. So what started in a platform and in the presentation earlier can actually be replicated directly in this platform. You recognize Johanna from before. This is again, this is just an example. This is a sandbox environment, so you don't need to comment on whether this is right or wrong. This is more for the sake of the drill of it. So Johanna here, I can actually customize all the different attributes that I want to have on this persona type. You put a photo on her. I can here in this case I've taken role into account. We want to make sure that she's a decision maker, she's a marketing buyer. What are her primary goals? What type of title does this type of persona usually have? What is the typical company size? Income in my case is annual revenue of a company, and so on and so on. So these are the attributes that I talked about before, and this is actually what the type of data that you will typically have in your CRM system. Then there's the engagement stages. This is actually where you can configure the buyer's journey of your persona. In our case, we chose to have 5 different phases: interest, learn, evaluate, justify, and purchase. And I've just written a short description, a bit about what motivates this persona, a bit about what questions this persona typically asks in the different stages, a bit about the values, a bit about what this persona is most likely to respond to. So this is a place where you can actually configure everything that you have been working on with all your post-it notes and in PowerPoint, spreadsheets, all your interviews with your internal stakeholders, maybe interviews with your customers. It can come down to an archetype that you can actually configure in the system. Now, what is important here is that you actually build your content directly for the specific persona in a specific phase. So saying I want to target Johanna with some content in her interest phase, I want to assign this assignment of creating some content to a specific copywriter or maybe my agency. I'll just choose persona here. I'll choose what stage I want to engage with her in, and I can choose what type of content I need to have created. It can be video, image, pages, etc., etc. You can actually post, make an integration so you can post the content. If it's a website content, you can actually create a web page directly from here. So this is selecting and really assigning for a specific phase of the customer journey. Moreover, you can create the content directly from the persona overview. Let's just click here and say I want to create some text. I want to create some really cool content for targeting a persona webinar like this one. Then there's a title wizard. Even I can type in here persona. It gives me a lot of different topics that I can use. So boost your persona like a boss, 10 ways of doing blah blah blah. I'll maybe choose 8 quick persona tips. And then in the platform I have actually pre-configured a lot of different helping tools. So this indicator tells me whether this content is really good content, or in this case it's blank, so it's all the way down to the red bar. Once I start typing, it will actually look at, so are you actually using the keywords that were suggested to you in this phase? And this is something that you can configure. Again, when briefing your agencies, they will have all of this available directly in the tool. So in this case, every time this text needs to contain all of these words. So if I start typing an environment, then you'll see that it's actually ticked off, and you can see that yes, all these keyword suggestions are used. Furthermore, there are some best practices that you can build in to your own text. It can be maybe that it needs to be over 200 words if it's a search engine optimized page that we're building here. It can be that it needs to contain a video. It can be that it needs to contain some links, and so on and so on. You can actually build whatever you want to into the best practice of your own content marketing cloud here. So this is really about assigning tasks, creating content directly in a platform where you also have your personas available and able to assign all of these tasks for further production. Now, if I switch back to my PowerPoint, just making sure that you have it here again. Yeah. So you can say, now you know your personas, and then what? We know our target group. We just saw that we can actually even configure our customer's journey, and we can actually also look into the killer content we can produce in the platform. So how do we then target and execute activities to these persona types? For the purpose of executing our campaigns, we use something called Oracle Eloqua. It's a marketing automation tool. Some of you might even know it. But the personas we have identified, we can now target and create a segment directly in Eloqua, which is linked to our content platform. So in this case, we want our Johanna, of course, and this is a screen dump from Eloqua. I'll be switching to Eloqua just in a second, but this is just to show that actually what we talked about before, the CRM data, because I have an integration between my CRM platform and my marketing automation platform, I can now create that segment directly in my marketing tool. After you have created your persona type, you also want to communicate to them, and you want to target them with a specific marketing tactics or specific campaigns in the different stages of the customer journey. In this case, for the example, let's say we want to target Johanna in her learn phase, and this could be the webinar that you are actually attending. So think of it from your own perspective. If I switch back to Eloqua now, this is actually Eloqua, my marketing automation tool, and this screen shows you how you will actually be configuring Johanna. So I've cheated a bit. I started out, but basically I want to target just reload. It seems like I've timed out here while I speak. So I want to target Johanna. I already know what attributes she needs to have. I can create my segment in Eloqua. I can create a filter, and I can now add different filter criteria. In my case, I have something called normalized title. It needs to contain marketing. I have a whole list here about different marketing titles that I have in my system. Again, this is a sandbox system, so don't look at whether it's right or wrong or whether it's configured correctly. This is all customizable, and of course can be created to meet your demands. Furthermore, we wanted to have make sure that this is a decision maker. It could be an influencer, or it could be some other type of fields that you have in your systems, and we want to make sure that on the account level, the revenue of the company is more than $100,000. In this case, I just said up to 1 billion or trillion. I don't know how many zeros I put on there. Furthermore, I have said that I want to target this persona archetype needs to be employed in a company where there's more than 300 employees. So I've just added an extra criteria just to make sure that we have some numbers we can look at. When you click the Save button, it will actually calculate and tell you how many people do you have in this segment for this specific persona type, marketing buyer persona, that you can actually target. So far so good. I have now created my persona, and I want to create an activity for the specific customer lifecycle, the learn phase, as we saw before. Again, I've cheated. I've created a few steps in this, but this is really a drag and drop platform. Let me just start by telling you a bit about what I've created here, and then I can show you how easily it is to configure everything else. So this persona type, when they hit the learn phase, they will actually get an invitation to a persona webinar. Now, some of you have actually received this invitation, so you might think whether you were actually a part of this. In this case, I'm waiting 3 days, and I'm actually checking whether this persona type opened the mail or didn't. If he or she did, I will send them a reminder email, and it will be the same email as this one with a different subject line. If they open, I'll check on did they submit the form. So the form is on a landing page. The form is a registration form for this specific webinar. If they didn't submit the form, but they opened the email, I'll actually send them a second invitation with more urgency, and you now have 5 days left to register and so on messages. Probably have received this type of messages before. If they have registered, I'll send them a thank you for the registration, and 2 days before the webinar, I'll send them an email or communication about we will send you login info soon. 1 hour before, I might be sending them an SMS reminder, and so on. So you can really build the whole customer journey with the logics that are in here. So say I want to look at the ones that didn't submit the form, but they actually open an email. Let's check on whether they actually clicked on some of the content that was in the email. Now I can compare different elements here. I can see whether they opened the email, or I can see whether they clicked, or I can send them to a split test. So really from here I can build on as much as I want. I promise you I would look at whether they clicked an email. I take that element into my campaign canvas here. I just put this in, and for the ones that clicked an email, I will maybe wait for some time. I have a wait step here. I'll just connect the dots, configure wait for maybe 4 days, and then send them a different email, which is some other messaging, and maybe that email has a link to a landing page that I can also configure. Maybe it has a form, and so on. So you can actually build whatever you want to here, and it is easily to kind of build something quickly, change and adjust along the way. As Lasse also mentioned a bit earlier, I'm not a big fan of spending 6 to 12 months on doing a lot of qualitative and quantitative studies and everything in regards to just finding out who are our archetypes, how should we really engage with them, and then before you actually get to the launch phase and you have created all your great content, it's 1 year down the road, 1.5 years down the road, and it's maybe irrelevant, or new channels, new types of communications have popped up in the meantime. So I hope this gives you a sense of, so how would you actually work with your persona, and how would we create them from our perspective, so it is in an actionable way. With that said, I'll give the word back to Lasse. So this is hopefully giving you a little insight into how easy it is, and that the availability of the different tools are actually in place today. Lasse, back to you.
All right, thank you, Robert. So I hope you got a sense of, building personas and customer journeys does not have to be a 6-month project. Now, in a webinar where we have 30 somewhat minutes to go through this, then naturally we cannot go into to all of the specific details. But I think a little bit to consolidate what Robert actually spoke about. So, there are many ways to build personas, and there are many books that have been written on personas and archetypes and how to build these out. But what we find often is not the challenge of building the personas, but the challenge is more, how do we actually make them actionable? Now, we can have great workshops, we can draw up whiteboards and put post-its all over the place, but if we're not able to bring these personas into action, having the data available, having the digital behavior available, and platforms to be able to actually execute on these personas and the buyer's journey, then it becomes a very nice concept that never generates any revenue or profit for our customers. So what we've specialized ourselves in is really to get personas done. Let's get the right details of a persona, but not to overspend on strategy and analyzing markets, because often, and probably the same for most of you in your company, you know your customers already. So it's much more about identifying the data points that we need to be able to really work with this persona and the customer journeys that needs to be aligned. So hope you got a sense of how that is working. I just need to skip through a few of these slides, so we go past Robert's slides here. Sorry about that. We actually more or less through what we wanted to present you guys for today. However, we would love to invite you to a little competition where you can submit your data. Watch out, we will be watching what you're doing afterwards. But we actually give out a free persona workshop where we define the personas and define the customer life cycle, and from that sense try to identify what data points you actually need to be able to make these personas actionable. On this screen you have a URL, marketing.increase.dk personas_competition, where you can submit your data, and we will draw out a winner of that competition within the 15th of March. So with that said, I hope you got a little bit of inspiration from how to create personas, templates, buyer's journey, and how to make these actionables. So feel free to ask any questions. We have time left, so fire away, and we'll be happy to respond. So we have a question here that says, this is from Thomas. Is all this included systems workable for both B2B and B2C environments and processes? I think that's a really good question, actually, Thomas. So naturally, there's a big difference between the the buyer's journey of B2B and B2C. But what we should consider when we think about processes like this is that we're not in the B2B or B2C process. We're in the B2 personalized. So it's really about identifying individuals and communicating to them. So the platforms that we're using, and we've talked about today, Eloqua and the Content Cloud, are used both for B2B and B2Cs, because it's really about identifying personas, individuals, and communicating with individuals. So we use it both for B2C and B2B. And to give you some examples, we have, from a Danish perspective or Nordic perspective, one of the companies that are probably the most advanced in the Nordic on personalization and communication is Danske Spil, so the Danish lottery. So they've been working with us and Eloqua for the last, I think, 4 years. They execute 2,000 campaigns a year, has a massive amount of send outs, which is really, really personalized. We have 300 plus data points in the platform that is really used to identify gaming behavior combination with digital body language and all of these different things. So definitely both B2B and B2C. And if you think about it from a B2B perspective, there are a number of tools in these platforms that can also support the alignment between sales and marketing. So earlier in this presentation, I showed you guys a screenshot of Johanna's digital profile. That can actually also be available directly inside a CRM platform like Oracle CRM or Salesforce or MS CRM or whatever it might be. So the sales guys can get an insight directly to what this specific customer has actually been looking at. So I hope that answers your question, Thomas, or else feel free to write back again. Maria, you had a question here also. Sure, thank you. Does Eloqua take the persona data into account in terms of finding new unknown potential customers? Yes and no. That's also a really valid question. So Eloqua is really about identifying known customers. So if you have a number of people that are visiting your website that has not made themselves aware yet by submitting a form or elements like that, they will not at this stage be identified inside Eloqua. So what Eloqua is really used for is the customers or the contacts, leads, prospects, etc. that you know. But from a data perspective, we actually track the persona or the individual from the first day they visit the website. So for instance, if you, Maria, visited our website 6 months ago, and we've been tracking your behavior on all of the medias that we own for the last 6 months then. But if it was only until this webinar that you submitted the form or identified yourself, then we didn't know it was you until the day you submitted the form. But now we have access to the 6 months of behavior. Now there are add-ons for the platform that can be used for communicating on unknown behavior for banners like data management platforms. Maybe some of you know the platform of Bluekai that Oracle purchased. So there are tools to support that also, but not out of the box from Eloqua. Helena had a question: is the Content Cloud, the persona platform, a part of Eloqua? Yes and no. It is completely integrated with Eloqua, but it is actually an outside platform of Eloqua. But as you could see before with Robert's introduction, so when we create a persona in the Content Cloud, that is also available as segments inside Eloqua. And also the content that is being built in the Content Cloud is also accessible directly from inside of Eloqua. So for instance, you could have a dynamic content that looks at the persona type and then brings in the content from the Content Cloud automatically. So the Content Cloud can also be used, and there was actually a question early on from one of the other guys joining the webinar here, that whether content from the Content Cloud could be used in other platforms. So there are from the Content Cloud plugins for quite a number of CMS platforms, which means that you can have all your content centralized in the Content Cloud and then use it to post for your blogs, for your emails, for your landing pages, on social, etc. And I think that's really one of the strong elements here, because we have both a visual but also a really good description of how to produce, how to manage, how to plan, and to promote your content. and then also, as Robert mentioned, really also to report on the effect of the different content types. I'm not sure if that answered your question, Helena, or else please feel free to re-ask. Michael, you also had a question. Here we go. Does the persona type of a customer change dynamically when the customer behavior changes? Yes, it actually does. So what you do inside Eloqua is to set up programs, so persona programs that really monitors the data of a specific contact. So let's say that in this case, Johanna, she has visited our website quite a number of times, but we still don't know her title, and maybe we don't know which company she's in. So right now we might say, okay, she's in marketing. That's what we know because she's been browsing our website. So when she submitted the form to our webinar, let's say that she identified that she was the marketing manager. So now we know more about her, which means that we could put her into the persona type of marketing manager. And so as long as while her data and her profile develops with more and more information, we can automatically change her persona type. So maybe it could also be, decision level. So is she C-level management, or is she an influencer, or whatever it might be. So we can change her persona type dynamically based on what data we get, or also her digital behavior. And persona types is not the only thing that we would be changing. It is also her stage in the customer journey, which means that if she's been downloading ROI cases or reference stories, or she's been looking at specific content that is related to making a decision, then we could automatically also update her stage in the buyer's journey, saying that okay, she's now in evaluation or decision or etc. So for instance, inside Eloqua, you would be able to make a segment saying, give me anybody that is in our customer journey stage of making decisions that are C-level, or that are marketing managers, or persona X. So it really gives you also a powerful tool to identify potential customers and score people for who's ready to speak to sales. Hope that answered your question, Michael, also. All right, sure, great stuff. So I'm not sure if there's any other questions, or if I've answered all of them. Else just feel free to fire away. I have one thing that I'm really sorry to say, that usually we record these webinars, but I didn't record it completely from the beginning. Now Nikki, my marketing manager at Increase, is looking at me, almost throwing her coffee at me. But don't worry, Nikki, we got all of Robert's presentation and what I've been saying here in the end. So no, the pitch of Johanna in the beginning, unfortunately, that was not recorded, but we can re-record that if that's really important for you guys. Okay, Helena, you how do I get access to or can learn more about the Content Cloud? I think the right thing here, Helena, to do is to set you up maybe with a chat with Robert, so he could do a call specifically with you and go through the options of how the platform is working and how it can be used to different extent. So if you'd be interested in that, I'll hook you up directly with Robert afterwards. And then there is naturally a ton of content available also online on Oracle's website. If you go to eloqua.com or Oracle and then into Eloqua, and then you'll find much more around the Content Cloud. I'll reach out to you after this webinar and set that up. All right, guys. So I think that kind of concludes our webinar for today. Feel free to reach out to us directly, submit the form, win a competition, let us know who you are so we can be tracking you from now on. And if you want to see more around either the Content Cloud or Eloqua specifically, just reach out to us. You know where to find us. All right, I think no more questions. So have a fantastic day. Seems like spring is coming. So I hope to see you all soon. We have a next webinar coming up, which will be on the 30th of March, where we will actually dive much more into details around content marketing. where we will show you more around the Content Cloud, how to plan content, how to produce content, how to manage it, and how to promote it and report on the content. So that will be our webinar on the 30th of March. All right, thank you guys. Have a fantastic day.